everybody, welcome back to the Bill and Ray Show. I am out in the torch shop once again to make a marble. Today I'm going to focus on doing some cobalt cane that's going to be fumed with gold and silver. And I'm going to do a little central burst of a couple little points sticking up. And the first thing I need to do is make some skinny little clear rods to work with my little fuming project. So let's fire up the port. I did this before. Fire up the torch. And today we have a special guest appearance of a tool that I just put together. It's just a 1/16 inch stainless steel welding rod with a sharp tip stuck into a wooden dowel. That's what I'm going to use to do some of these little central plunge element. So first thing is I need some skinny little clear. Underhand, overhand, which way do you like to hold the glass? Because I'm trying to get some kind of detailed effect and trying to do this on kind of a small scale. So I think it'll be helpful to have some small scale clear. I'll let it hold here for just a second, let that get solid. Because this will be easier if this is a nice straight piece of glass. Okay, this guy is done. So I could just do this straight with the native raw rod size, but I actually want to build this up to be a slightly larger size so I have more surface area to work with. So let's see if we can kind of bring this back. Pile up a little bit of glass here. I was out this morning on our riding lawnmower in the field for about 3 hours mowing. So I got a few kinks in my system. Hopefully they can push through making a marble here. So this is, I think, North Star cobalt. It's not light, it's not dark, it's just cobalt. As most of these things go, you just kind of keep rolling this back. Oops, take my eyes off it. Until it kind of goes out of control. And that's okay, that's good enough for that, but we don't want just a ball, we want a barrel. So now we got to do a little shaping. Don't have very much room on this top L marver, and squishing between marvers tends to make it weird shape. Once again, this is something I have not specifically done, so we're on a bit of an adventure to see how this works. Okay, well I figured this would be pretty short, stubby little section. Now, one more little feature I should add. Let's see, I guess I'll come off of here so I can see it. A little locator. So first we're going to hit some silver here. And then on the other side, so we're going to have that little locator spot facing away from us. And this we're going to try and build up a good amount. Okay. Now we're going to take our little thin stringer that we made, and I'm going to stripe this on here. Oops. That's one thing about, I've got a lot of fume on there. It doesn't always stick down as well as it should. The base glass now has cooled down quite a bit. Well, these got kind of loosey-goosey. Maybe kind of making a mess out of that. Not perfect, but we'll run with it. Okay, we are going to heat this in and pull it out. And as we pull this out, we are going to spin this up. So making some pretty tight lines. Now, I want to do a few little switchback areas. Hey, look at that, my handle fell off. Okay. Now, they're also not very straight. Okay, gonna come in here with a fine flame. Pick up one little area and spin it the other way. And put a few kinks in it. I think I'll go with my one handle, and we'll take this off of the rod. And bring this up. Alright. Now I need to remember to use this little guy. This is some little amber purple to make my little center pokies, center plume. Well, I'm doing this marble a little earlier than I usually do in the week. I was up kind of late this morning, but I was able to see the Boeing Starliner launch. Finally got 2 crew members on board and launching to the International Space Station this morning. So some kind of mixed feelings about this. It's been a program that's run way too many years, way over budget, using a lot of old hardware that's pretty dated. It's in a lot of ways not a very impressive adventure for our country, but we're going old school, I guess. There's some other exciting stuff coming up soon. This clear rod has a little airstream on it. Not like the trailer, it's a little bubble on the edge. Okay, let's get this formed up nicely. He's done picking at it. One more pick. Okay, now on the end, we're going to use our amber purple, and we are going to draw a couple spots. We're going to try and kind of keep this moving, because we want to keep our heat base. We hit those spots and push them in. Again, the first time I've used this tool, first time I've tried doing these little individual plunges like this. Now those are going to trap a certain amount of air, because I just made a big hollow hole into the glass. And that's okay, I don't really care about the little airlines. They will add their own feature to that effect. Now, I think I can let this kind of calm down. I'm going to be adding this crazy piece of glass that I just made. And I'm going to try and draw this back and forth. I got kind of heavier on one side than the other. So I'm going to try and fake it here. Because I kind of want to use up most of that piece that I made. Let's see, I need a pokey. How come I don't have a pokey here? Wow, this is an adventure. So some of these, you'd have to repeat this sort of technique numerous times to try and get a feel for what you're doing. I'm just doing this as a one-off. I haven't tried this concept before, so this is in some sense kind of like the prototype. Many designs like this, if you want to really get detailed about it and make something really special, you need to make, quite a few dozen of these or something to. And then there's a certain degree of kind of hit or miss with each one you make. You may come up with one that's really cool. Maybe some of them are duds. And marbles like this that I'm making, it's like right now, I don't know if this is going to be cool or a dud. It should be interesting. There's no reason it shouldn't be at least interesting. But I would like to get this going towards our cone-shaped end. As much as I try and visualize these projects before I start into them, lay out some of the pieces and parts I'm going to use, this is just a one-off at the end of the day. We'll see where it takes us. Now, I did reserve some idea, because I wasn't sure how many open spaces there would be, but I think I will go ahead and do some fume dots in the background. And I don't think this is, needs to cool down a bit before I can do that gold fuming. I got this little rod. I was going to use a bigger one, but we can use this. So we're just going to sort of fill in some of these empty spaces with some kind of effect. Some of this may or may not show up much. I'm having a hard time seeing where was the open spaces. Yeah, just throwing dots all over. Alright. Some random silliness. Okay, next step. Frit. heat up one little area, grab some frit. Now that fumed cobalt piece will be fairly opaque. I'm going to use this layer to just kind of finish out a little deeper opaqueness in the background. Alright, get that frit layer well incorporated. There are still little holes in it, but the idea here was just to get a general background. Not too worried about little spots. Oh, look at that, it drooped. Now we got to fill in the back hemisphere. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're enjoying this. It's been fun to share some of this silliness. It should be a fun marble. We've had a up and down spring. Today's a beautiful day, but now we're supposed to get really hot the next couple of days, which is pretty crazy. We're pushing 90 degrees on Saturday. So if the trees and plants weren't confused before, they're going to be confused in the next couple of days. But recently we've had some good moisture, and this time of year is when this part of Montana, most of Montana, whatever, it's going to be nice and green, and things are leafed out. The hay is growing. It's just incredible how fast stuff starts growing. Dropping this clear down in little short segments, drop down and pull back. It's just one way to kind of keep them pushing air into the joining one band of clear to another. Pretty sure this is something that I picked up from Lewis Wilson. And again, this is a phase that doesn't have to look all that pretty. I don't really care about any teeny tiny bubbles in there. Doesn't really matter. Guess I'll get it pretty clean. So I'll hit the wide side and the narrow end. Okay, another stick. It's like cooking with butter. Lots of butter. Okay. Shape it up. I have to get the window AC in here pretty soon. Years back, when I was doing a lot more torch work than I am these days, but sometimes in the hot summer days it was really impacting how much work I could do. I didn't sleep well at night, didn't cool off until the wee hours. By the time I got out to the shop, it was getting warm and could only work for a couple hours, and it was just too hot. And I thought, boy, with the vent going, blowing all this air out the vent, all this equipment throwing off heat, the kiln, the torch, oxygen concentrators, I thought it was kind of foolish to have an air conditioner, but when I finally broke down and bought one, it paid for itself in like 2 days. Just enough to get a little bit of cool air coming. So the way I always figure in the shop, as I've got it configured now, is you're not going to have it really any cooler than it is like outside. It's be like in the shade outside with a campfire. So it's not like it's going to cool it down to make it chill, but it changes it from the unbearable to the tolerable. I just don't do that well with heat. We don't get all that crazy hot here. When it gets above 100, it's usually pretty brief. And since those early days, the oxygen machines are all outside of the building in a separate little lean-to, so I don't have to worry about the heat of that those put off, and the noise. And when it gets really hot, I set the kiln on a cart outside the door, so I don't have the kiln running inside the shop. Do what you gotta do. Okay, I'm gonna let this end kind of drag out. Got the angle up steep. Focus that heat just on the very end. And that one little spot that isn't covered with clear kind of has the effect of drawing that vertex on the end out as far as it can go. Alright. Once again, we gotta wait a second for this to get solid. Okay, first line is black. This is aqua blue. Yep. Okay, and the last one, switch this around. Is my very favorite unobtainium. Doesn't like being on the inside of a marble, but it sure likes being on the outside. Alright, cook this color in. I like these particular colors. I really kind of have a short color palette on the back that glass that behaves well. You can cook it in pretty hot. It rakes really nice and smooth. Knock on wood. Usually. It's nice and smooth and buttery. And once again, we need to set this let things stabilize. Sometimes kind of hurry this step and it gets pretty wonky doing the raking. Got my trusty Vortex marble mug. Alright, torch needs to be kind of cranked. Maybe work out a ways out away from the face. Let that heat kind of diffuse out a bit more. There's many different patterns. People like to rake lines. I started doing this kind of paisley pattern many years ago, and I kind of stuck with it through even some of the different work that I do. I do cabinet knobs, and all of those are basically this same concept of 2 or 3 colors raked in this swirling pattern in 2 stages. So this is like stage 1, and then this is stage 2. This has got to pull all the way down to the very back of the marble. And kind of grab a hold of the previous raking and drag those patterns together. Sometimes we have this bit of an awkward final space that's a little small. That's okay. Try and bring it back to the center in the back, and then we can start pushing this back together. I'll start with a little tap on the back side, and then at an angle coax that back in together. And I've got some space here that needs to push together. Pretty typical that first raking step isn't completely smooth. It kind of tears into it. And at this stage I kind of watch for some potential bubble trouble. Yeah, we'll put this in the mold and start gently finishing that, pulling that back end in tight. Now, bubble trouble. So those little bubbles, either they get popped or they get kind of submerged. But it also gave it time to get all wonky. Alright, try and get kind of back on center. Now I'm going to kind of feed this clear glass into the front to make the lens, but first it's really kind of blowing up that circumference. I switch back and forth. The smaller flame keeps it from getting too wonky, but still keep condensing this glass in here. I do want this marble to be round, so we need the big flame to try and push some heat base deep into the glass. Get more of it moving. Just kind of focused on the rod, feeding it in to the very end. Okay, time to break free. When you cut a connection like that, you don't want to just pull out a big old weird squiggle of glass. And pull it out a little bit and let the flame cook through it. see some different colors in the glass where it's really hot. You really want to see a consistent color when it reaches full heat, so it's really glowing. Try and get this at a bit of an angle where it can kind of shift back onto towards the punchy rod. A little too asymmetric to really use the fast spin. Okay. First run into the marble mold is trying to kind of rest it on the edge. Good. Okay, and then kind of level, pulling on that back by the puntee first, letting it kind of drop in there, and then we can come up on the angle and start pushing, squishing it in there. Stuff. We have our own private well here that I actually share with my sister next door, and that well is 125 feet down, which is not that deep. Static water level is like 26 feet, and it's got lots and lots of water. Switch to the other mold, trying to get that transition area stitched together. This is where those colors on the back side, you need friendly colors because it goes through a lot of heats and a lot of trips to the graphite marble mold. Not all colors can put up with this kind of treatment. So some colors that might work really well in a blown glass piece where it doesn't really hit much in terms of tooling, minimal tooling, and the heat tends to be less severe. This is some pretty serious heat trying to get that whole structure, that whole shape to move. A lot of mass there that needs to get heated up and encouraged to participate. Okay, I think we're pretty much there in terms of the shaping on the back side. So now we're going to just spin it in the mold, let that mold suck up some of the heat. And then do a slow rotation with the high heat to flame polish that back side. Come out of that heat and just keep rotating. getting close. Almost out of water, so I gotta be done. Gotta be done soon. One more transfer. Okay, just heat the marble, heat the glass, touch them together. We're trying to be gentle with our motions. Not anything too crazy now. Let's see. Okay, first trip into the marble mold. It's resign yourself, it's going to get some wrinkles doing this. I can't really wait too long. I want to make sure that that glass can move and fill out shape. So on these successive trips to the marble mold, heat it up until you don't see those wrinkles. Especially get that end good and hot. This time I'll wait a couple seconds. Get glass to firm up. You can kind of tell by the way it feels in the marble mold whether you've got any variations going on, and that still had some wiggles happening. So we'll try the smaller mold. You want to get that nice freewheeling spin. And then it's just a matter of flame polishing out any last little wiggles, especially on that very front. But we can't heat it too much or we're just going to lose our shape, so you have to kind of do this in a couple steps if you need to. Yeah, I'm glad I added those that other back fuming and some dots. They do show up in the little open spaces. Okay, let this cool down in a moment. Now that back fuming gives you those little flashes of light. And my center spikes, they worked really well. They came well up into the core there. It's good. Came off nice and clean. Just a minimal amount of flame polishing there. Now we are golden and silver. Wow. Thanks for hanging in there, you guys, whoever was here to watch the show. Whether it's this week or next year or 10 years from now, I hope this is interesting. Okie doke, looks good. Get that into the kiln. And like always, guys, I always tell you to be kind to yourself and be kind to others. I really mean it. It's important, especially these days. There's a lot going on in people's lives. A little bit of kindness goes a long ways. So with that, we will see you on our next adventure.